The US government is insolvent. And this will be my third time recording this video because for some reason I get pissed off and start swearing, and I'm not supposed to do that online. But if we have a conversation in real life, I'll tell you how I really think. Anywho, let me tell you what is happening. According to 47's Department of Treasury, you know, the people who take in payments for taxes, unless you're like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, then they don't take any money from you because you're not really paying taxes because Republicans can't govern. I did a video last night and said, you got to know what you know, and I know what I know, and I stand on the fact that Republicans cannot govern, at least not for people. They are great for corporations, and they continue to prove that. As a matter of fact, they've done it so well, they've bankrupted the U.S. government. Isn't that crazy? I remember like in September, October 2024, we were talking about the fact that the U.S. was at, like $37 trillion in debt. Like that, the deficit was so high, and pretty soon we were going to be like not able to make our interest payments. We needed to make some changes, like for real. So obviously, here's the thing. I'm a business owner. So when you have issues with your balance sheet, if your income is not matching your expenses, you've got one of two options. You can increase the income or you can reduce the expenses. Well, the government is not supposed to operate for profit. So, you can increase your income or you can reduce your expenses. Republicans just want to reduce the expenses, which is not necessarily a bad thing, except for when you are cutting vital services for the citizens. Things like healthcare and food and housing and veteran benefits. Like, that's probably not a good idea. The other alternative would be to increase the income. Well, that means that billion-dollar corporations who haven't been paying taxes based on the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they should actually be paying. But no, because the big beautiful bill that was passed, the only significant piece of legislation that this administration has passed, that ensured that the tax cuts are permanent. So they're not going to pay anymore. And it doesn't matter that they have already reduced all of these things. Now, they just agreed to give a company out of France $1 billion not to finish a wind power plant, wind energy. No, we don't need that. We'll give you $1 billion not to finish it, so we can make some money. Oh, okay. Oh, and then also we know that we can't provide health care for our citizens. We can't take care of our veterans and the poor among us. Like, we can't give them $6 a day for food, and then if they do happen to get that $6, we're definitely going to dictate what they can and cannot eat, because that's our business as well. We want to do that. Oh, and outside of that, we're going to spend an exorbitant amount of time trying to ensure that women cannot vote. Oh, and we got to get rid of all those trans people too. This would actually be comical if it were not true, but it is. And it would also be laughable if no one had actually said this is what was going to happen, but we did. And also they did. In fact, they not only said it, they wrote it down and they put it online, and they called it Project 2025. The reason that ICE is in the airports right now, it's in Project 2025. They want to privatize it. Of course. Republicans have received 7 standalone bills to fund TSA agents, and they haven't passed a single one of them because they want the money for ICE without restrictions. It's Project 2025. Married women, midterms are coming up. If you are poor or an hourly worker, or you don't have a passport, if your legal name does not match your birth certificate, good luck. But that is also in Project 2025. They want to implement family voting. They also want to get rid of no-fault divorce. So if you don't like your husband, you might want to go and do something about that. You know what? Y'all stay. Y'all don't listen to me. Y'all don't believe anything I say anyway, so it's completely fine. Anyway, the U.S. is broke, and it was 1,000% predictable and preventable. But your racism, your hatred, your bigotry, your misogyny, yeah, 250 years. I guess it was a pretty good run, huh? Here's what's so dangerous about this. Not the fact that billion-dollar corporations aren't paying taxes. Not the fact that millionaires are literally creating ways to avoid paying taxes, because that's been happening. It's just permanent now, and that you are paying more likely in taxes than your employer is, at least percentage-wise. Yeah, that's sad. What's crazy is um, not just the fact that Republicans don't think that like generating more revenue would have been beneficial. They just want to take things from y'all. They don't want your kids to get a quality education. Unless, of course, it's written by the Daughters of the Confederacy, and then they can learn all they want. In fact, they're going to bake it into their homeschool curriculum. They've got PragerU working on a whole new rollout of videos so that your kids can learn how the Civil War was about states' rights and how slaves didn't have it that bad. They really liked the families that they worked for. The fact that I have made it this far and have not cussed yet, that is very good. Let me tell you what I told my friends. I sent them the article. This article is from Fortune. It's behind a paywall, actually, and I've subscribed, but don't y'all subscribe because I had to set a reminder so I can remind myself to cancel it. Anywho, Yahoo Finance has a similar article. It doesn't go as, it's not as detailed as Fortune, but you can get the gist of it from Yahoo Finance. I told my friends what is even sadder outside of the fact that the U.S. is insolvent. What's even sadder is that this country is about to commit a genocide against her people. And y'all don't believe anything that people like me say. You know, black people, women, liberals, people who believe in actual community and that policy should be written for people and not for corporations. You don't believe anything we say anyway, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, and then we will wait and see. I don't have to wait to see if I'm right because I know I am. Because the U.S. government is now insolvent, and they also talk about Social Security and Medicaid, Republicans will use this as a reason to further cut essential services for people who are sick, who require government assistance. So that means people who have cancer or debilitating diseases who are receiving life-saving treatment, they will lose their lives. They will lose their lives first. Elderly people will be right there along with them because according to Project 2025, they need to root out the undesirables. Their words, not mine. And poor people will be next because according to the Heritage Foundation, they don't contribute to our society anyway, so we can just get rid of them and essentially craft and create a world, a country that they want here in the ununited states of America, full of whites-only people with misogynistic men who beat their wives and abuse children. That's what they want. And they wrote it down. They were so confident that it would be done. They put it in a book, put it online, and let everybody read it. And then for some reason, nobody believed it. Anyway, y'all have a good day.